Your entryway is the first space your home uses to make an impression. And whether you realize it or not, it sets the entire tone for the rest of your home. Think of it as a trailer to a movie. It gives you a preview of what's to come next. Yet in many modern homes, it seems like the entryway is quickly disappearing. And when the entryway doesn't work, the rest of the home feels it. Hey there, I'm Jennalee Rogers, an interior designer, and welcome to my channel where I talk about all things interior design, advice, tips, and design solutions. Today we're going to be talking about what I call the dying art of entryways. If you're someone who feels like you got robbed because the builder conveniently did not include a formal entry space and your home looks something like this the minute you walk in, you're not alone, as it seems to be a reoccurring theme amongst many modern homes built today. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the psychology of a cluttered entryway, the original purpose of entryways, why these rooms are subtly being erased from today's homes, keys on creating a designer entry space, and simple ways that you can actually incorporate an entry space within your home if you don't actually have one. All right, so let's jump into the video. When an entryway is cluttered or missing altogether, the whole home can feel less welcoming the moment you walk in. People often form a quick impression of your home within the first minute of entering. And in many modern homes, especially open concept layouts, homeowners are left trying to incorporate and create an entry zone where none was originally built. Without a proper one, this usually leads to shoes, hats, bags all being piled up at the front door. And that doesn't just affect guests, it actually affects you as well. Cluttered entryway can add stress, create mental fatigue, and make a home feel less calm overall. So before we talk about how to discuss it, it's important to discuss what entryways were originally meant to do. If you look at a lot of older homes, you'll notice that the front door did not open directly into the main living space. There was usually some kind of defined transition area, whether that was a vestibule, a foyer, an entrance, or a reception hall, or as we know it today, an entryway. The names vary, but the purpose for the most part was the same: to create a clear pause between the outside and the inside of the home. A vestibule was often a small enclosed space between the exterior and interior doors. Sometimes they were used to block drafts and help regulate temperature. A reception hall or an entrance hall was usually a more formal space used to welcome guests. A foyer became a more familiar term later on, and while it still can feel formal, it often functioned more like a place to arrive and pause and shed outerwear. No matter what it was called, the idea was the home had a threshold. Now that we understand what the entry space was originally designed to do, let's talk about why they seem to be disappearing and being erased from a lot of modern homes. In open concept layouts, the main living spaces such as the kitchen, the dining, and the living areas all flow into one large room with very few walls separating them. This creates a spacious feel, but it makes it harder to define a true entry zone. Open concept plans have become popular for a number of reasons. They can be simpler and less expensive because there's fewer walls, but the downside is that the front door can often open straight into the living room area with no clear pause between the outside and inside of the space. Now, in some homes, it seems like the entryway is being pushed a lot of the times to the garage space or just right outside the garage, as you'll often see like a mudroom or a locker or a drop zone located near the garage area. And that can work well if the garage is actually used in that way. But for a lot of families, it seems to become a space for overflow storage instead of a true entry point. Even if the layout shifts, the need stays the same. You still need a space that you can enter into clearly and directly. So for an entryway to feel finished, it needs to do two things. It needs to function well and look intentional. A designer-approved entryway usually starts with a few key pieces: a console table or a narrow shelf. This gives you a landing spot for the small items that you reach for on a daily basis. This could be mail, sunglasses, keys. If possible, choose something with storage so that clutter can stay hidden. A mirror or artwork above the console. This creates an immediate focal point. A mirror can help reflect light and make a narrow entry feel larger, while artwork adds personality and makes the space feel finished. A bench, a chair, or a small ottoman makes it easier to remove shoes, set down bags, and simply pause when you enter the room. Number 4, smart storage solutions. Hooks, baskets, and coat closets help keep jackets, hats, and bags from piling up at the front door. The goal is to give everything a designated place. Number 5, a rug runner or simply a small rug. This helps define the entryway and visually guides the path in the home. It also adds softness, warmth, and an elevated layer within the space. And number 6, if the space allows, a table lamp. This can add warmth and make an entryway feel more welcoming in the evening time. How do you actually create an entryway space when you don't essentially have one? So the goal is not to build a completely new room. It's to visually define the entryway using your existing items. So if your door opens directly into the living room space, you can see in this layout, I'm using the sofa and even a console table behind it to help define the zone of the entryway space. They act almost like barriers, if you will, to help lay out and establish an entry area. Hooks are placed on a nearby wall for coats and bags. Now you don't want to just throw all of your coats and bags in this area. You want to be intentional about this. And you'll also notice in this first layout, like you want to make sure that you leave at least 36 inches between furniture so that you can have a comfortable walkway. And the console behind the sofa, you could leave it as a console or it could become a bench, which I'm going to talk about next. As you can see, the back of the sofa is help defining this entryway space. So we're using the existing items that we already would have to actually create a entryway. So another common open concept layout where you might not see an entryway space is when you have the door that enters between the living and the dining room space. Now, if the door opens between these spaces, again, using furniture to act as dividers, if you will, between the rooms really helps zone out the space. And again, adding a rug can help direct your path. Now you can use a furniture piece like a narrow cabinet or a bookshelf or a bench. In this example, you can see I used the back of the sofa and a bench to help divide those spaces. Or another common layout example that you'll see is a tiny sliver of a wall by the main door. Now, if this is you, just keep it really simple, such as adding hooks on one wall and a small console on another near wall can help establish and zone out a space. Now, the tiny sliver of wall by the door can also look like this. And the best solution for something like this is to add a small bench on one side and a very narrow wall-mounted shelf. This helps keep a lot of flow for the path of travel, again 36 inches, and maybe adding a mirror above the shelf and or a piece of artwork. So it's keeping things very, very simple. Now, if you want a more built-in or a more custom look, you can use a half wall, or you can incorporate like a built-in bookshelf or a room divider within the space to create a stronger sense of separation. The key is to work with the space that you have and define the entry in a way that works best for your layout. If you want to see how I apply these design principles in actual layouts, check out my interior collections. Each collection includes a fully curated design concept for the entire home, professionally curated by me, so that you can stop second guessing and questioning every design decision, and you can actually move forward with confidence. From 3D renderings to furniture selections to color palettes and designer notes, everything is designed to help you create a professionally designer approved space easier. I'll leave a link in the description below. So I'd love to know what you have done to try to make your entryway feel a bit more defined. Have you added a room divider? Have you used furniture? What have you done to make your entryway feel more like an entryway? Leave a comment below. If you want more ideas on how to create a home with character, confidence, and without the overwhelm, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any videos from me. That's exactly what I talk about here on the channel every week. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.